picture of my life and my dreams. Suddenly the crazy world made more sense to me. Welcome back to our flip math discussions here. We are working in section 2.2, the distributive property, and the target just says that I can use the distributive property. By the end of this, you should have this idea mastered, and we can move on to bigger and better things. Hopefully you're not getting too confused nowadays. We are moving away from just numbers. We're getting more into algebra stuff where we have variables and exponents and things like that. We're not just figuring out what numbers equal. So when we're talking about distributive property, maybe you've heard of it before, but really all I want to do is I want to take a quantity that lives outside the parentheses and distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. Okay, so take something that's outside the parentheses and share it among everything that's inside the parentheses. So I want to look at where this would really come into play. We worked with order of operations before, and if I had something that said like, I don't know, 5 times 2 plus 3, okay, let's say I had that numerical expression there, 5 times 2 plus 3, and that's inside parentheses. Order of operations would tell me that I need to work inside parentheses first, and I'd have 5 times 2 plus 3 is 5, and then 5 times 5 is 25. That seems pretty easy, right? Yeah, we've done that. We can continue to do that if all we have are numbers. We have variables starting to introduce, starting to come into the picture. Then we have a whole nother idea. So that other idea is simply this. Let's look at the same problem, and we'll see that this distributive property works, and that it'll always work. You're going to use this for quite a bit of your math career. A lot of times I'll draw my little rainbows there that tell me that 5 is going to go to the 2 and it's going to go to the 3. Since my operation outside the parentheses is multiplication, I'm going to do that inside the parentheses. So I will be going 5 times 2 plus 5 times 3. Okay, 5 times 2 plus 5 times 3. So what that equals, 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 10 plus 15 is 25. Notice I get the same thing as before. Now, was that easier? No, it wasn't. Not with numbers. You'd never use distributive property with just numbers. But we're going to run into problems where we cannot, we have no way to combine variables and real numbers. We can't just do that. So that's why we want to use this distributive property, because I really don't like parentheses. I want to get rid of parentheses whenever I can. So what we're looking at here, symbols wise, let's say we have A times the quantity B plus C. Anytime you hear me talk about things in parentheses, I use the quantity of something. So here, the quantity of B plus C. Well, I'm going to distribute that A into the B and into the C. And we're going to be left with A times B plus A times C. The plus comes from right here. Okay, we maintain that plus. If it was minus, B minus C, that minus would go in that place right there. So we do the same thing. We're going to distribute that A. We have A times B minus A times C. Okay, whatever sign is in the middle still goes in the middle. And hopefully when we're doing this, we can sort of simplify our expressions a little bit. Down here, we're going to get some practice at this. We're going to use distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. Remember, I don't really like them. See right here, here's a basic problem where I cannot combine that 4 and that x. Okay, they won't go together. They're not like terms. We can't combine things that aren't like terms. So 5 times x, we just write that as 5x. 5 times 4, that's 20. See how nice that is? That looks a lot better than that. Yeah, the numbers are a little bit bigger, but at the same time, my answer doesn't have parentheses. And this is actually a lot easier if I'm going to put a number in for x and figure out what it's going to equal. That makes life a lot easier. Here, my number on the outside is kind of on the wrong side. It doesn't really matter what side that number's on. I can still distribute it. So 12 times 4, well, that's 48. I have that x there. I'll just keep it there. Minus, there's that minus sign. 12 times 8 is 96. And that'll be my answer. Okay. Next one. I have a negative outside. Now, anytime I have a negative outside, sometimes I'll put parentheses even around that to know that that whole thing needs to get distributed inside. But let's go ahead and look at it, see what happens. Negative 8 times 3. Well, negative 8 times 3, we did that before. That's negative 24. Throw that x on the end. It just needs to tag along. And negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. All right? Go ahead and pause, go ahead and pause the video, try this problem, and see what you get. Okay, here we go. When we distribute this negative 2x, this whole thing, inside the parentheses, negative 2, well, I don't have anything to multiply negative 2 by. There's no coefficient on this x. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that negative 2. X times x, well, I know repeated multiplication, if I have the same number multiplied by itself, I can write that using an exponent. And we're going to be doing that quite a bit today. All right, so now we have negative 2 times negative 11. That negative's still there. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 11, that is a positive. Okay, negative times negative is positive. 2 times 11 is 22. And I don't have anything to multiply x by, so it just hangs out on the end. Okay, that x just gets tagged onto the end. Multiply always talks about numbers times numbers and variables times variables. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, I know it says your turn there, but I don't want you to think that you're doing all the work. Even if you want to, you can pause it and work through all these. I'm going to do 2 of these and let you work through the last 2. Okay. Just to get a little more practice, 7 times 2 is 14. I have nothing to multiply that x by, so it just hangs out. 7 times 7 is 49, and that minus sign goes in between. If you want to think about it, you're actually multiplying that 7 times a negative 7. 7 times negative 7 is negative 49. That works just as easily. Distributing that 11 inside the parentheses, 11 times negative 3 is negative 33, and x is just multiplied by that whole thing. 11 times negative 8 is negative 88. And that's my answer. There's no like terms here, so I can't go any farther. Go ahead and pause the video, try the next 2 problems. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you got a chance to work out those problems. I have a negative 3 on the outside. Yeah, it's on the wrong side, but no big deal. So negative 3 times 5x, well, that'll be negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, and the x comes along for the ride. Negative 3 times 8 is a negative 24. Did that part up above. All right, so that's my answer. Hopefully you got that as well. Here, again, I have a negative on the outside. There's an x with it, so we'll see what that does. Negative 4 times negative 8, that's 32. Let me draw my little arrows. So negative 4 times negative 8 is positive 32. X times x, we know that's x squared. Negative 4 times negative 12 is a positive 48. I have nothing to multiply the x by, so it just hangs out there by itself. And hopefully you got those. Kind of cut off that x a little bit. All right, go ahead and move to the next page. Let's get a few more problems here and see what we get. We're going to start off up top looking at, it says multiple instances. What that means is that I have an expression that has more than one distributive property step involved. Okay, so all I need to do is just do what I did before. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. 7 times x is plus 7x. 7 times 8 is plus 56. Now I can combine like terms. See, I'm not quite done here. That's what we're going to run into when we have multiple instances, is that I have like terms. Remember last section, 3x and 7x, that's going to give me a 10x. Negative 21, positive 56, cross those off, keep myself straight, is a positive 35. And that's simplified all the way. Okay. Hopefully you're kind of realizing that this distributive property stuff isn't that bad. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 7x inside. 7 times 2 is 14. X times x is x squared. 7 times 4 is plus 28. And then I have that x just hanging out with it. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rewrite it in one step. I'm going to move that 8x all the way over in front of, so that 8x is just going to come and live right there. There's no problem doing that. You can always do that. If you don't like it over to the right, move it over to the left and then do your problem. So 8x, I need to keep my parentheses, 4x minus 6. So I'll rewrite the 14x squared plus 28x. And now I can do this problem with my negative 8x, distributing that inside the parentheses. Negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. X times x is x squared. Okay. A negative 8 times negative 6 is a positive 48. And we just have that x hanging out with it. Okay. Now I can combine like terms. I have x squareds. Okay, I have 14 minus 32, which is negative 18, x squared. And I have a positive 28 and a positive 48. That's going to give me a 76x. Hopefully it's all kind of coming together. This problem, there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, I have 2 times that I'm going to need to distribute, and then there's this negative 5 out on the end. Okay, and really that's a minus 5 because it's not sitting in parentheses and it's not right by the, right by the parentheses. It's just a minus 5 that we'll take care of at the end. So we have 8 times x and 8 times 9. 8 times x, 8x. 8 times 9 is 72. Okay, here we have a negative 2x that we're distributing. Most of the time I'll circle it and kind of point myself to know that that's that negative. So negative 2 times negative 7 is plus 14. I have an x there. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. X times x is x squared. And then I have that minus 5 on the end. Don't forget about that. We're just going to carry it around for a little bit. All right, I have a negative 4x squared. That's the only one of those I have. And then I have an 8x and a 14x. 8 and 14 is 22. Throw that x on there. And then I have a positive 72 and a negative 5. That's going to be plus 67. Go ahead and pause the video try the next 3 problems. Alright, welcome back. Hopefully you had a chance to get those done. This is kind of an odd problem. You know, it says -5 minus this whole thing. Now, what we get here when we have that minus is there's actually a -1 there. So I'm going to distribute that -1 inside. I'm going to leave that -5 out in front for right now. And we'll get to that in a second. So -1 times 3x is a -3x. -1 times 8 is +8. Alright, so my only like terms here are -5 and +8, so -3x. And that'll be +3. Alright, now the next one I have the same thing going on with a number out in front. Remember, order of operations says I cannot add these right away. And especially with distributive property being the name of the game, I'm going to have to distribute before I combine like terms. So we'll leave that 8 plus out there. 7 times 2 is 14x. 7 times -8 is -56. -4 times x is -4x. 4 times 2, -4 times 2 is -8. Alright, combine like terms. Here we go. I have a 14x and a -4x. That'll give me 10x. Cross those boys off. Right away I see that I have an 8 and a -8. Those are going to cancel each other out because 8 minus 8 is 0. And then I have a -56 left over. Alright, maybe I don't like this how it's written. I'm going to switch that 6x into the front. So I'm just going to rewrite it. Plus 5x, 11x minus 15. Okay, got a little sideways there. Got really into my math stuff. You know I love it. So we have a double distribute going on here. 6 times 3 is 18. Tag that x with it. 6 times -1. There's -1 in front of that x, so that's -6. X times x is x squared. 5 times 11 is 55. There's x times x, so x squared. And 5 times -15 is -75. Tag the x on the end. Okay. Combining like terms, they're kind of in the middle here. I have my x squared terms. 55 minus 6, 55 minus 6, that's what we have. 49x squared. And then 18 minus 75 is a -57x. Alright, that's those multiple instances problems done. They're a little bit more work, but you kind of feel good after getting a bigger problem done. You turn that long thing up there into a short little answer right here. I really like it. Alright, last thing we're going to end with, what if we have more than 2 things on the inside? Okay, not that big of a deal. The law told me that I just have to multiply that 10 by everything in the parentheses. So that's all I'm going to do. Alright, so 10 times 2 is 20x. 10 times 8 is 80, plus 80y, minus 10 times 7 is 70. And that's done. If we ended up with like terms, we'd have to then combine them, but we don't have any there. Alright, so again, we're just distributing that 3 times in there. 4 times 2 is 8x squared. 4 times 5 is plus 20x. And 4 times 8 is plus 32. That's all we got to do. Alright, you can either flip that -4 to the other side or just leave it where it's at. It doesn't really matter. Kind of a dealer's choice situation there. I'm going to leave it there for this one. But I'm going to distribute that -4 inside to every term on the parenthesis expression here. -4 times -3, that's 12x to the 4th. -4 times 18 is negative 72x squared. Negative 4 times 2, or negative 4 times negative 2 is plus 8. And there we go. Go ahead and pause the video, get the last 3 problems done. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you had no problem with these. If you didn't, that just means you're getting better. If you had a little issue, you just need some more practice and you'll be fine. 11 times x squared is 11x squared. 11 times 5 is plus 55. Okay, there's the x there. And negative 7 times 11 is negative 77. I love multiplying by 11. It gives me cool numbers. All right, I have a negative that I'm distributing. Going 3 times. Negative 5 times 2, that's negative 10. Negative 5 times 5, negative 25. Negative 5 times negative 4 is plus 20. Z. Okay, notice I'm not overthinking the variables. Wherever they're at, they just get tacked on there. Okay, we're going to distribute 17 times 3 is 51. 3 times negative 3 is minus 9x. And 3 times 4 is plus 12y. If you want to reorder that and put the variables in front, you can. You don't have to, though. It's not required. All right, so go ahead and summarize your notes. Should just be something about the distributive property. Do the practice problems, get all those checked off, get the application problems done, and good luck on that mastery challenge. Have fun. Okay, last time you saw the reverse pass to the quarterback, and this time we're going to be looking at the wrong ball play from Pop Warner League, which just means Little Kid League football, and it's a pretty interesting play. Have fun.
Hustle up there. All right, bring it here. Bring it here. Go.